the ACS Learning Center. In this tutorial, we'll be servicing a laundry dispenser, the DEMA Aurora. First, we do our visual inspection. Here is where we walk up, we do a visual inspection to ensure that we have power to the unit. Next, we check our connections to make sure to see if we have any breaks, leaks, any kind of chemical buildups. Here we see of a line not primed. Check the manifold. Again, are there any breaks, leaks, or spills? Product containers. Are the pickup lines in the right containers? Do we have any spills, leaks? Is there any empty buckets? The main purpose of the visual inspection is to see if there's anything that jumps out that needs immediate attention. Next, we're going to be checking the squeeze tubes, faceplates, and rollers. Make sure that your faceplates are in good shape and they're not cracked or broke. Check your squeeze tubes. Are they soft and pliable? Make sure your rollers are intact. In using tube lube, use silicone-based tube lube only on squeeze tubes. A half-inch bead of silicone on 2 locations is all it's needed to lube the tubes. Continue with checking with each pump. Again, check your squeeze tubes to make sure that they're soft, they're pliable. Check your rollers. When putting the squeeze tubes back in place, make sure they're secure in the squeeze tube supports. Lube the inside of the tubes that's next to the rollers. Here we find that the spring has popped off the roller. DEMA rollers are spring loaded. This is what keeps tension onto the squeeze tube. Here we found a squeeze tube that is hard. We need to go ahead and change it. Because this roller appears to be broken, we're also going to have to change it. Replace with a new squeeze tube. Your pickup side always goes to the left. Your discharge side will always go to the right. Lube in the tube increases the lifespan of your squeeze tube, so ensure that you lube them each time that you service. Here we got a squeeze tube that feels slightly worn, but it's still pliable and soft. Next, we're going to be testing the check valves. In testing the check valves, remove the tube from the squeeze tube on the top. Go to the flush mode and press the flush to test to see is any water coming out of the check valves. Never stand in front of the check valves when you're testing the flush lines. Here we say we got a bad check valve. In replacing the check valve, first we got to prepare the check valve to be installed. Using Teflon tape, In a clockwise direction, put 3 wraps of Teflon around the threads. The threads on check valves are tapered threads. Always try to have a rag available when you're servicing the equipment. When you're removing check valves, you can have a backflow of water that comes out of your discharge line. Go ahead and thread in your new check valve. Here we only want to put it in hand snug to start with. Once we have it hand snug, use your tool to give it another 1/2 to a 3/4 turn. That is all it's required because of the tapered check valves. Don't over tighten them. Replace your tubing. And retest your flush for leaks. You're checking to see if the check valve is working and that there's no water coming out around the threads. Continue down for each check valve to test them. Again, check valves doesn't go bad often, but on occasions they will. And in most cases, they'll get stuck in an open position. Next, let's go down and check the product containers. Do we have chemical labels in place? Are the pickup lines in the right containers? How much product is left in the buckets? Here we see we got a product label that has come off and is worn. Let's go ahead and replace the labels. Labels help the customers keep the product lines in the right containers when they're switching them when you're not there. If you're using tie wraps, always snip off the ends of your tie wraps. Make the system look neat. Continue checking the rest of your products, or your pickup straws are in good shape. Again, we noticed this in our visual inspection. We have an empty container. Let's go ahead and replace that bucket for the customer. Put your new bucket in place, replace your pickup line into the new bucket. Make sure that the main cap is loose for the customer if they need it. And let's marry up the buckets. Let's pour any remainder of the old bucket into the fresh bucket. Let's wipe up, clean up any spills that we have. Next, we're going to check the operation of the pumps. We're checking for the operation, the sound, and we're priming the pumps to make sure they're working as expected. Go down each line, testing each pump. Prime up the lines as needed. Anytime that you are priming or testing an oxidizer as the stainer or brightener, always prime the flush after that pump. The same case goes for testing or priming sour or sour soft. Anytime these pumps are tested, always flush the system afterwards. Never mix an oxidizer or a sour in the same manifold at the same time. For more information on servicing a laundry dispenser, talk to your SSM, manager, regional manager, or contact the training center for more information.